Ethan here, and Justin is still out on his big birthday run. 10 days, 10 marathons, a marathon every day. I wonder if he's drinking energy drinks along the way, because we recorded this episode a while back, but it is a spicy one, all about sex and status and sales, and how these energy drink companies weave this in to their marketing, and perhaps you can borrow some of their strategies too. So tune in and let me know what you learn.
Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa. Entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation. All right, Ethan. So I recently saw that Keurig Dr. Pepper, purchased the energy drink company Ghost for $1 billion. And the reason I bring this up is because I'm finding it really, really interesting that there just seems to be I'm going to use the word infatuation with energy drinks. We know the big names, we know Red Bull, and Red Bull just continues to grow and grow and grow year on year massively. I've got some insights to Red Bull in South Africa, and in South Africa they grow basically like 20% year on year. So massive growth there. There is Monster Energy Drink, which has been chasing at the heels of Red Bull for some time, but kind of playing a similar space, but a little different. And shout out to Monster, though, because Monster was founded by South Africans, interestingly enough.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah. Huh. So that's really interesting. And then in South Africa, we've got other energy drinks like Score, Switch, and a host of others. And those are all for the different income levels, and they position themselves slightly differently in the market. But very often I will see certain individuals walking to work in the morning and they're not having breakfast, but they are drinking an energy drink. So there's definitely an infatuation with energy drinks globally. I see it in South Africa. Keurig, previously they had purchased Dr. Pepper, I think back in 2018, and it was for $19 billion. And I think this is their first foray into the energy drink space. So I'm not too sure I don't think there are any other energy drink brands in their stable currently. But I'm just so curious, where does it continue to grow to? And what is it, do you think, that is driving this infatuation with energy drinks?
It's interesting because when you told me this, I had no idea that Keurig and Dr. Pepper had merged first, because I always think of Keurig as a coffee maker company. And Dr. Pepper is a soft drink. So I didn't understand like what the connection was, but I did a little digging on Perplexity, and I mean, they're both in the beverage space, and they're both, I guess Dr. Pepper's caffeinated. So it's both caffeinated beverages, right? So there's some synergy there. But now that they're Keurig Dr. Pepper, and then they bought Ghost. So these are all alternatives to who was the dominant player in the market forever was Coca-Cola, right? For decades, that was basically the only energy drink you could get, quote unquote energy drink, or coffee, right? So we're seeing this trend of people moving away towards, and I think it's a good thing, people kind of moving towards healthier beverage choices, or what they perceive to be healthier, because obviously there's a lot of controversy around energy drinks. Red Bull, for instance. Well, first of all, Red Bull, let's talk about advertising for a minute, because Red Bull is crushing the game. What's the word that comes to your mind when you think of Red Bull?
Extreme sports.
Yeah, extreme sports. But adventure comes to my mind because they just
cool.
Cool. Adrenaline, like things like, I mean, they do the wildest things, jumping from space, all of the wing, what do you call the wingsuit guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I love watching that stuff. And you always see Red Bull branded on whatever it is. So they own that like adrenaline space. So I think that's why they're doing so well. And fun fact, I did not know, I hadn't been out at one of my speaking engagements. I went out to a bar with some of the guys, and you can't, in certain states in the US, you can't order Red Bull and vodka. And I used to be able to do that. It used to be like my go-to, especially if I was out late and I was trying to stay up and party, Red Bull and vodka. Well, they've outlawed that combination in some states. You cannot order that. They won't serve it together because I guess people, I'll have to do some research, but I guess people had issues with that combination.
Well, it's a bit of an upper and a downer at the same time. I think it can't be good for your body. But
right.
Taking a step back, because this is where my mind went to, was on the advertising side. And as you say, Red Bull absolutely crushed it. Monster, to a similar degree, have done the same. Monster own a lot of the motocross or motorsport space. They've got into like monster trucks and a lot of those sportsmen are sponsored by Monster. So also very active lifestyle pushing that. Do you think there's an element of the cool factor of just drinking an energy drink, irrespective of the brand, but there will be brand loyalists? But do you think part of what has driven this has been the path that the likes of Red Bull and Monster have laid for other energy drinks to come into the market and people to just be like, this looks pretty cool for me to be walking around and drinking an energy drink? I see it when I'm training at gym most days. And it's usually younger individuals just getting into training. They're trying to think, what is going to make me look cool in the gym? And what's going to make me look cool is to have a Monster, to have in South Africa, one of them is a Switch or a Red Bull sitting next to the machine, sitting next to the bench press while I work out. So I wonder if that plays enough of a part to be driving this demand.
So there's a little bit of a status and a sex symbol in the beverage choice. Yeah.
100%.
Wow. I feel so out of it. I had no idea. That's funny. I guess that plays into everything we buy, right? I mean, they talk about iPhones being in a lot of countries the iPhone is held in such high regard. It's a sex symbol. It's a status symbol to own an iPhone over an Android. I think I heard that about several Asian companies in countries in Asia. So yeah, I mean, you got to put a little bit of that sexiness into every brand. And if you're appealing to men, then that adrenaline and strength is what we think makes us appear sexy to whoever we're trying to attract. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but maybe in the psychology of it there, you're showing that you can provide security to a woman, and maybe that does play a part in it. Well, my favorites are, what are your favorites? Mine are Monster, the Monster that comes in the white can, because I think that's the one that has like 0 calories. I don't like a bunch of sugar. And that one has a lot of vitamins in it too. And then Celsius. Have you tried Celsius?
I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, that one. And it feels, the first time I drank a Celsius, they were sitting out at an event in cans and I grabbed it. I thought it was a can of like flavored water. I didn't know it was an energy drink, and I like downed it and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And I was just up. I was wired. And I think I drank like 2 or 3 cans, and somebody's like, dude, you're downing those Celsius. And I was like, oh, it's just water. But no, it's an energy drink. And it has all these vitamins in it, though. It feels like a healthy energy drink. And I think that's where we're going. Yeah. More of the sentiment is going towards the health trends. There are even less people drinking alcohol these days. I don't know. Have y'all noticed that in South Africa?
100%. I think there's still enough to keep the industry going. That is for sure. But it's definitely a decline, particularly in the younger generation of drinking. It is becoming less and less, which is really interesting. It is an interesting global phenomenon, and maybe that's driving some of the sale of energy drinks. If you're out and you're drinking less, you might be taking some other substances, but if you're drinking less, what do you go for? Possibly an energy drink is one of those things,
because ultimately you're trying to change your state, right?
Correct. Just going back to the drivers of why somebody would purchase it. This is an anecdote. I think it's true, but I cannot remember where I heard this story from. But there is an energy drink called Score, SCORE, Score in South Africa. And when they were doing their market research, the reason they came up with that name is the market that the company specifically wanted to go after wanted 2 things. They wanted to know that they were going to be able to score on the sports field and score in the bedroom. So they called it Score. And I mean, that company is flying. And that particularly is the energy drink that I will see people walking around with in the morning on the way to work. That is their breakfast. So it's interesting. They've figured out their markets and how to appeal, and they've got the price point right, which is also key.
Oh, they nailed it. I mean, I'm looking at a can of Score. Their logo, the O has a woman inside of it, like the silhouette of a sexy woman. And then under the logo, they have a star with a silhouette of a guy playing football, or what we call soccer. I guess you guys.
There we go. We also call it soccer.
Oh, y'all do. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they incorporated both of those things into the logo. So very unashamedly. And it has guarana in it, guarana,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I take that every morning for energy.
Okay.
Energy and weight loss. It definitely works, and it has some bedroom effects, some positive bedroom effects too. So it's
That's a separate. It's a separate episode. It's a separate episode.
I don't have the sexy can to hold up, but yeah, I don't care about that. Yeah, guarana definitely works if you guys are curious about that. But yeah, I like the trend away. I like the trend towards health. I think that's a good thing for the world in general. I'm drinking a little bit less, although I haven't fully cut it out. It's funny. Monica and I went to Napa a couple of weeks ago, Napa Valley, and we were going to different wineries. And at some of the wineries, the actual owner comes out and pours your wine for the tasting. So I love that because I love to talk to a business owner, an entrepreneur. That's my thing. So, we were asking them like, how's business? How have things been affected? Like post-pandemic. I love hearing these stories. And some of the wineries have been affected because people are drinking less alcohol. So it's affecting their personal economy. And I didn't think about the impact. So it must be a really, really growing trend. So maybe that's why these that's another factor why these energy drink companies are taking off.
I like that because and the reason that's a really good thought process and argument is the non-alcoholic beverages industry is growing. And what I mean by that is the non-alcoholic Coronas and the non-alcoholic Heinekens. And we've got some craft breweries or smaller distilleries in South Africa where they're also doing non-alcoholic versions, and you get non-alcoholic gin. And those are definitely far more readily available in supermarkets and bottle stores and placed closer to the front of the fridge, closer to the front of the aisles where the majority of the shoppers are, which is an indication that it is moving. The product is being purchased. So that's definitely increasing as well. And maybe those two points are very aligned. People are looking, because of this decrease in the number of people drinking alcohol or as much alcohol.
Yeah.
People are looking for an alternative. And it's very difficult to stand around sipping a water, standing around sipping a Coke, standing around sipping a fruit juice. It just doesn't work. Yeah. You need something else. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Because we want that state change, right? We want to feel different. I mean, and these drinks really do work. They're not placebo. I mean, they have a lot of stuff in them that will change your state. So they actually work, but like packaging them as healthier alternatives, I think is a very, very smart move. So maybe we should look into somehow investing in these companies, being that we see that our direction this is headed.
I think it would be worthwhile time spent. Absolutely.
That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Remember, in chess, like in business, one right move can change everything. Take today's action step, make your move, and build momentum.
If you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for their next breakthrough. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations. Until next time.